Sunday, September 14th. The organic psychic. No one has to tell me that things are getting worse. I can see it every day when I walk out to the chocolate rhubarb field. Harry, unsurprisingly, has not sprouted at all, but even all the rhubarb plants around him, the whole field, even, look pale and tired, ragged. It's like our farm has become a walking tour of upside-down images. So when the mist starts to take up the full northern section of the lake, I'm not surprised. When my finger starts to throb as I walk around the peace maze with a watering can, I'm not surprised. And then when I hear Freddie couldn't even play a whole game on Saturday, I'm not surprised either. Don't get me wrong. I'm worried. Really worried. Just not surprised. But this morning, I am surprised. Ophelia Bierad arrives at our house with a crystal ball, exactly like you see in movies and comic books. Nothing loony about it, just a normal crystal ball. Hi, Polly. The farm looks bad. I'm very concerned. Ophelia speaks in a high, strained voice, as if her nice, smooth voice was run through a cheese grater. She holds up a velvet bag. I brought everything. Tarot cards, wheat berries, the crystal ball. Please get your mother, and everyone else. We should have all the spirits. I find Freddie in the playroom with a video game. Ophelia wants us upstairs. I pretend that I can't notice that his skin is basically white, like the bones of a skeleton. For what? I don't know. A seance? I never admit this to Freddie, but I'm counting on this seance thing to give us some answers. Freddie grins as he stands up. What are we waiting for? Maybe one of those spirits can tell my little sister here to relax so she stops looking at me like I'm some zombie. A half hour later, my whole family, plus Beatrice, Bassford, and Chico sit in a circle around Ophelia. Actually, Dad and Chico sit in chairs behind the circle because Chico says his knees hurt, and Dad is pretending to pay attention, but is really sneaking looks in the papers he's hidden under his arms. Dad has been on the phone with Dunbar all day, although I'm not supposed to know that. He didn't say anything about his meeting with Gerard, and I didn't tell him that I spoke with him. I also didn't tell him, or Mom, that I told Jongy about the sale. Every day I rehearse what I'm going to say to them, but I don't do it. Every day that it isn't in the papers, I think that maybe Jongy has found some streak of good in her evil mind and hasn't told her parents. Then I remember that I'm talking about Jongy, and that I should tell my parents before it's too late. And the whole cycle starts again. Patricia keeps taking the wheat berries and eating them right in front of Ophelia, but Ophelia doesn't care. She focuses on the crystal ball, her long, skinny, silver-tipped fingers flitting along the surface. Patricia rolls her eyes. I think we should be figuring out why there's an eerie green mist on our lake instead of sitting around on a Ouija board, she says loudly. Don't be disrespectful, Mom whispers sharply. Mom's usually as calm as a rock, but it's obvious everything is getting to her. It can't hurt. Ophelia just keeps tapping the crystal ball. Tap, 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 and humming the song, We're Off to See the Wizard from the Wizard of Oz. We're almost there, announces Ophelia. Just one more thing. She takes out a football helmet and places it on her head. It doesn't have a face guard, so we can see her expressions perfectly well, even though she looks 100% ridiculous. It blocks the bad spirits, Ophelia explains, like a defensive lineman. I barely have enough time to ask Freddie what a defensive lineman is before Ophelia whirls around and fixes on Mom. Christina, she commands. Mom jerks her head up to look at Ophelia from her cross-legged stance in front of the crystal ball, her face taut. Ophelia closes her eyes, splaying her hands on the ball. The chocolate rhubarb in the western field asks that you discontinue Compsularia consignata. Her face is stern. I told you that myself, I have to say. The ichneumon is much less harmful to the roots. She's talking about parasitic bugs, another natural form of pesticide. I think even Spark is considered a parasitic bug, since he loves eating mosquitoes. Patricia groans. Could you please stick a needle in my eye? Shh! But Mom smiles, somewhat relieved. Thanks, she tells Ophelia, but that's not quiet. Ophelia dances her fingers on the ball again. Freddie, Freddie! Ophelia, Ophelia! Freddie grins. She opens her eyes, sprays her fingers again. She does not grin. Follow the light, she says. What? She says solemnly. The light. You'll know when you see it. Okay, he says. Ophelia proceeds to give everyone something to think about. Dad is to consider the needs of his chemical solution for his edilated rhubarb. Patricia needs to drink more water for her soul. Basford has to add more complex carbohydrates to his diet. Chico should be nicer to the sugar maple trees because they're not always happy with his pruning. I wait for her to say something to me, but each time she closes her eyes, she reopens them and focuses on someone else. Finally, I'm the only one left. Patricia knows it too. She elbows me in the stomach. But Ophelia just opens her eyes and smiles. Well, that was wonderful, wasn't it? I can't believe it. I stick my head out farther, right in front of her face, but Ophelia ignores me. Guess organic spirits don't have your back, Patricia whispers. I'm so disappointed. I feel like crying. I wanted more than anything to hear something from Harry. Maybe Jongi's right. Maybe I am cursed. Mom steps over to us and grins. Okay, so maybe not the most productive session I've ever had, but it is good to know about the ichneumon. Right, and I have to go drink some water, says Patricia. My soul is thirsty. They laugh, and Mom leaves us to talk to Ophelia. I can feel my anger building. Ophelia's a fake. I'm a dope for even believing for a second that this could have helped. I run to my room and pull the door shut. I'm about to flop on top of my bed, but I stop just in time to avoid sitting on the cricket. The monster cricket. What do you want? I whisper. He stares at me as if I'm the only one who's supposed to tell him something. I sense a fluttering above my shoulder. Spark hovers in the air by my side. I'm guessing you know about the slugs? Spark writes, sorry, in the air, finishing just as we hear a knock on my door. Polly, Ophelia says, may I come in? I look back at the bed. The monster cricket has left. Spark is nowhere to be seen. Figures. You'd think magic bugs would be okay with an organic psychic, but clearly my magic bugs are cowards. Fine, I mutter. Ophelia doesn't look as strange now. She's removed her helmet, so she looks just like a typical mother who has wrinkles where she smiles and wears clothes that are just a little off. Ophelia sits on my bed, smiling when she looks up at the inside of the turret ceiling. You've picked the lucky room, she says. Mom picked it, I say. No, she shakes her head. You did. She gives me that look that says that she knows more than I do. I know you're very anxious. You have so many curious currents swirling around in the mystical realm. It's probably hard to see straight. What to do, what to think, how to act. You saw all of this in your crystal ball? I ask. No, I see all of this in you. She squeezes my arm. I do have a message for you. You do? I jump up from my bed. She smiles widely. You're such a believer, aren't you? Believer? She smooches the comforter cover as she smooths the comforter cover as she talks. Some people don't want to hear what I have to say. They think it's all nonsense. She drums her fingers on the bed. They don't want to think that anything happens outside the realm of science. She turns, places her hands on her knees. But people like you, Polly, know instinctively that our world is bigger than that. Suddenly the monster cricket is back and resting on her shoulder like a black, huge parrot with bug legs. I presume you've met Lester? Ophelia asks. I call him Monster. Monster Cricket. I pause, just a little embarrassed. Not to his face. Monster Cricket, Lester rubs his feet together. Ophelia laughs. He doesn't care. He's like you. He does? She grins. Lester hops down and lands on her knee. He's been trying to help. They all want to help. Ophelia stops, curling her lips. Spark can't come all the time. He needs to stay by the lake. But the condition of the farm breaks his heart. She closes her eyes. Yes, there are legions of helpers, Polly, but one in particular. She pauses, directing a hard look toward me. Your best friend. Ophelia says, best friend, in a way that makes me look up weary. She stares back at me, waiting for my response. A pounding click, click, click goes off in my brain, like the ratcheting of a roller coaster as it churns up a slope and you don't know if you're going to die or scream in delight. Basford? I ask, too scared to say who I really want to be. No. Ophelia smiles and puts her hand out, lightly touching my elbow. He says his name is Harry. I know it's stupid, but I burst into tears when I hear his name. Harry? Is he okay? I leap toward Ophelia. What did he say? What should I do? Can you tell him I'm sorry? I look at Ophelia's dark blue eyes, remembering. Can you please tell him I'm so sorry? He knows, she says. He has a special task for you. Will it bring him back? I don't know. I'll do anything. Ophelia looks down at her hands. He says you have to find your ring, and then afterward your friends. She gestures to Lester. We'll help. She pauses, shutting her eyes, but she opens them. When she opens them, she smiles. But please avoid the slugs this time, dear. They understood you were in distress, but you did interrupt a birthday party. I stare at my hands, my crooked finger. I lost that ring 4 years ago. I swam all over the lake looking for it with no luck. It will be impossible to find it now, spark or no spark. Ophelia stands. I'm going to go help Beatrice with dinner. I need to make sure she doesn't chop off the wrong end of the carrots. It really hurts them, as you might imagine. She smooths down my hair. I don't know what to do, I tell her quietly. Ophelia nods and gently leans down and kisses me on the forehead. Trust yourself, sweet believer.